Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Lessons from a Mentor. This one is from Steve Heck. I don't think I've introduced any Steve Heck stories. He was my formal mentor in 2012-13 era. I was at Texas Health, and previous to that, University Hospitals, our team started doing some pretty amazing things, and then at Texas Health, and then suddenly, I started getting invites to speak and write and all those sort of things. And we've talked a little bit about this in some previous episodes in terms of branding. So all those things are good to do for a wide variety of reasons. But at some point, you may get into the quandary of overexposure. And that's what Steve was telling me. So I get all these invites, and I didn't know any better. I was kind of excited, right? Like, oh, someone wants me to speak. I should speak. So at some point, though, you get overexposed. And that's what I want to talk about and sort of the things that I've learned along the way. And I still have to reinforce these sort of things in my life and relearn them because you don't want to be overexposed. So here's a couple of things to think about in terms of, are you overexposed or not? One is always check your heart. Like, why are you doing the particular events that you're doing? So during that same time frame, my CMIO and friend Ferdy Velasco, we came up with this test because we would test one another because he was getting a lot of offers as well to speak. And our first test was, is this going to be beneficial more for our organization or for ourselves? And if the answer was for ourselves, we wouldn't do it. It was for the organization, we would do it. I gotta move here because actually the tide's catching me. Kind of funny. So that's the first thing. The second thing you got to consider is, what does it look like to your peers in your organization? So I know this was happening to me. So I would go out and speak because I thought it was a good thing for the organization. I thought I was doing some good marketing, branding for the organization. But at some point, there is that overexposure, and it's going to make your peers wonder, where is Ed? Oh, Ed's at another conference speaking. Oh, where's Ed this week? He's at another conference speaking. They look at your LinkedIn and you're posting pictures of yourself speaking all over the world. So that could backfire on you. So you think you're doing something good for the organization, and obviously there's some benefit, but ultimately people are going to start to wonder, where is Ed? And so that's something you're going to have to deal with and really manage carefully. So that means that if you do these sort of two tests, like am I sort of irritating my peers and not spending enough time in office? Because it's not just your peers, it's going to be your team as well. So they're working their butts off and they're working long hours, they're doing all these things, and then they don't see you and you're not visible. And they're like, where's Ed? Oh, he's in California, he's in Florida, he's in, wherever. So it's going to alienate yourself from your team. So not only alienate yourself from your peers, but now also your team. That's why you have to really think critically about overexposure. Now, I already gave you a couple of litmus tests that you could try for yourself and see if they work for you. Again, what's the motivation behind it? Who's it benefiting the most? The other thing you might want to do is just come up with a plan, and you may want to work with your manager on this and just limit yourself. So put your own governor on this and don't accept every offer that comes. So in the beginning, so this goes back to one of our previous lessons from my mentor on branding. In the beginning, you may want to accept everything that you can because you're not getting that many. You're trying to build your brand. You're trying to do good things for your organization, bring some light to the good things that you're doing. So you may take a lot, but then you'll want to slow down and become very, very intentional. So just pick a couple. There's no magic number, so I'm not going to throw one out there. But just pick a select few and let that be it. And just say no to others. Now, the benefit of doing this, not only are you going to keep yourself from being overexposed, because think about that. Overexposure, after a while, people will be like, oh my gosh, And again, I myself, I have to be careful about this. So when you limit yourself, though, not only are you making sure you don't irritate your peers and irritate your team, all those sorts of things, but you also are making yourself more valuable. So if you're always speaking, presenting, at some point, even the organizers of these events and the people that go to the events, it's going to be the overexposure and be like, oh no, not him again. So if you're more selective and you're not doing one every month, but maybe you're doing one per quarter, people are going to be like, oh, I wonder what he or she is up to. I haven't heard from her in a long time. Would love to hear what she's up to. So here's the final thing that I learned from Steve Heck and such, that the reason that you're speaking is because you're doing some pretty nifty things. You got a great team, you got a great organization, you're doing some nifty things. So if you're not at work doing new nifty things, but you're just speaking all the time, then your stories are going to get old. So it's important to always have refreshed stories and being able to retell new things that you're doing. And so if you're not out there as much and you're concentrating on select few speaking opportunities, then you're really helping with your overall brand and not overexposing and making yourself more valuable because you'll have new stories to tell. So those are a few things that I learned about trying not to overexpose yourself, put governors on you. And as I always talk about, just ask people, ask your mentor, ask your peers, ask people that you work for or that work for you, and just say, hey, what do you think? Tell me the truth. And 50% of the time you'll get the truth, and it'll be important to hear. But definitely keep going. And here's my final thing. Take the time that you would normally spend traveling and preparing and all that kind of stuff, speaking, and perfect your craft. Become a better speaker. So that's one thing that I would recommend is cut down if you feel like you're overexposing yourself. Cut down and take that time to really hone your capability in speaking. Because that's the other thing too. A lot of people are out there speaking. There is an episode on speaking. A lot of people are out there speaking and because they've got a great title and they belong to a great organization and they're really good people, but they don't speak well. And so it's really important to hone that craft, and there's many ways of doing that. I love Dale Carnegie courses. I love taking courses on this sort of thing. If you're out there speaking and you're not taking courses every once in a while just to hone the craft, sharpen things, that's probably a mistake. So definitely keep working on your ability to speak. I did the same thing.